I saw you recently in a conversation with Forbes, and you really made me think from a completely different perspective, and that's why I really kidnapped you to be here on today.
Glad to be here.
I had a conversation with Ambassador Young some years ago when I first moved to Atlanta, and he said, Jamal, you really have mismanaged what civil rights is. So civil rights didn't really happen in Atlanta. It happened in Selma and Montgomery and Nashville.
Right.
I wanted to know from you, where is the epicenter for Black civil rights in terms of economics? When we think about civil rights, we talk about marching and protesting, we shall overcome. What is really the hub? What's ground zero?
Yeah, that's a pretty easy answer.
Yeah.
Because it's not geographic. It's intellectual.
Wow.
One of my favorite scriptures is, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So I think that what African-American people have to do is to think differently about what civil rights means. I think it's easy to define it as physical access. And what it is today is economic and political access. I think that in a very short period of time, America spent about 18 months remembering to care about the African-American situation, from George Floyd until about a year ago.
Yeah.
At this point, you turn around, Wall Street, corporate America are shedding all of their DEI and impact investment strategies. And so I think that what we have to remember is that at bedrock, the struggle for African Americans today is economic. It is the new civil rights in every location, in every geography, and it affects all aspects of our lives: healthcare, education, political empowerment, voting rights. It all boils down to economic opportunity and access.
I had a conversation on this same platform with Cornel West, who's running for president.
Sure.
And he said something that has really left me on freeze. He said, America is the only place in the world where you have the working poor, that you can have a job working 40 hours a week and still don't have enough.
Right.
So a lot of people talk about saving and investing, but they don't have enough for living.
Right.
How do we eke out or carve out a path for people who don't have a livable wage?
Yeah. I think that, first of all, we have to understand the new economy that we live in today. 30% of the net worth of any family is in their home. We live in a post-pension society. People aren't retiring from 30 years of working for the same job anymore. We have to plan not for next week. We have to plan for 30 years from now, from day one. And so if we're thinking long-term instead of short-term, that affects absolutely everything we do on a day-to-day basis. It affects what we eat. It affects how we live. It affects what we purchase. And so I think that what we really have to understand is that the economy has changed. It's more dynamic. It's more international. Let me give you an example. Basic math says that increased interest rates should lower housing prices. But today, housing prices are actually up and reaching all-time highs again. Basic economic history says that high interest rates should tank the stock market. But the Dow Jones is up hundreds of points since interest rates began. We live in a totally different economy than people understand, which is why inflation continues despite the high interest rates. So I think that the challenge for African American people is that there are so many dynamics, and we have been basically sat outside of the economic reality in the country.
Wow. Controversial, outspoken talking head, Dr. Umar Johnson. I was on a podcast and said that if a black church is collecting tithes and they don't have a school, don't have a bank, and don't have a garden, they are a fraud.
Well, let me tell you, this is why, my father was a minister, sang in church for 30 years. My grandfather was a minister. I almost practiced the ministry. I was asked to pastor church 4 times. I've been asked
4 times.
Yeah, 4 times, and I'm good in Kojic.
Yeah,
just like you're good in AME.
Right.
And we're asked to run for Congress twice. My conviction is that economics, finance, and business is where I can be most impactful.